my name is Melvin Varghese and I'm a doctor by profession. So I cracked this exam with rank 292 and I had started my preparation in 2016 right after college, and I got my final result in April 2018. Right. So my main purpose of coming here, why I really wanted to come here, is not to get a felicitation, but to tell you something of some use, because it's your first attempt. Is it your first attempt, by the way? So it is your first attempt. So there are certain crucial things that you need to keep in mind for both GS and optional. So I am here to tell you those things which I wish people would have told me, and which can really make a huge difference, because along with the hard work, you need proper guidance, and without guidance, it is impossible to crack this exam. So if I'm making that clear to all of you, it's impossible to crack the exam without proper guidance. You may be able to do it with or without coaching. You may be able to do it with or without some other things, but not without appropriate direction. So I'm here to tell you a few things that I learned in my first attempt, and maybe both of us can discuss that and we can improve, right? So first, let me start with what your understanding is of Anthro. So all of you are new, right? I'm told by sir that you came on 17th July, right? 12th? 12th July. Okay, so have you had any classes here? Okay, it's mixed. All right. So a few of you have had classes here? Have classes started? Yes. Okay. So you have some understanding then of Anthro. So actually Anthro is till now a very good subject for optional for UPSC. And let me tell you, optional plays a absolutely critical role. You may not understand it now, like in your first attempt, because everything seems like it is marks, right? GS again is 250 marks each paper. Optional is also 250 marks for each paper. But why is optional so important, and why do we stress so much on that? So does anybody know why? Can you tell me, somebody? I want to keep this a little interactive, otherwise it will get monotonous, So can you tell me, like, what is your understanding? Anything approximately? No. Why is optional so useful? Why do people stress on it so much? Yeah. So it's marks, right? So it is mainly that in optional, the marks that you can potentially score is much higher than what you can score in GS, right? So optional, say I'll tell you the range. It's around 150 out of 250 in optional, if it's quite good, even more. In GS, maybe around 110 to 120, maybe 130. So around 30 to 40 marks, right? But this 30 to 40 marks, right, will consume years of your preparation if you don't have the right guidance. You will keep staying at that lower border, lower range of marks, which I don't want you guys to go through, right? So that is why I'm here to tell you what you can do to make that jump. See, now with normal coaching, and if you just maybe study a little bit, do a little bit, you will get a certain range of marks which everybody gets. Now this is a competitive exam, right? So I want you to cross that barrier. There's a barrier in this exam for every subject, right? And people take years trying to figure out how to cross this barrier, right? So I don't want you to do that. So one more thing before I start off with Anthro is to say that, is this all your first attempt, purely? Yeah, most of you, right? So it is very easy. It is very possible, maybe not easy, but very possible to get within top 50. Believe me, you have to believe this. Only then can you do it, right? You have to believe this every day. Many people will tell you it's not possible. I am telling you it is very possible, right? And I could have gotten a better rank than this if I had heard certain advice a little early, and of course luck also plays a factor, but it is very, very possible. But you should believe it, right? So I want all of you to actually believe it, right? before we start off. So remember that and don't let anybody convince you otherwise. Okay. So am I clear? Yeah. Right. Okay. So let me start off with asking you, what is your understanding of anthro? Like, if anybody could tell me, like, what is anthro? Like, if you have come for class, approximately you'll have a certain understanding, right? So, tell me. Anybody? Study of? Okay. In totality. Yeah, that's okay. Then anybody else? Like, I want you to come out. You know, you have to say it, because even in the exam, let me tell you, you have to express yourself a little bit. Don't shy away. Say what you know. Write what you know. That's also important. So, anybody in the back? You seem to be quite silent, sir. Anybody? Whatever it is, just tell me. Okay. Okay, so approximately you know that anthro is man, so study of man, right? So let me just try to enhance this understanding, and then I'll come to why you should take anthro. There are certain reasons. One is the mark reason, and then of course the fun part about what is so good about anthro. So actually anthropology is the study of evolution. You know what is evolution? So how things changed, right? So if you stay in one place, you will change. The human beings will change. In 100 years, you might not see this place as it is. So it's a study of evolution. Now, what are the things in man that can evolve? His body, right? And his culture, the way of speaking, your dialect, your language, the things you do, all those things, right? The way, say, you celebrate a festival is not the attitudes towards women, towards children. All that changes, and that is part of culture. Culture is your way of life, right? So, what changes? Man's body. So, how was it in the past, right? How is it now, right? So, keep that in mind. Anthro is evolution. So, anything, if they ask you about what is this, right? Say, what is this tool, or what is this culture, or anything, any question in anthro which seems very like GS, seems like GS, you have to talk about it in evolution. So what was it before? Why are they asking it in anthro? Not for you to write a GS answer. Remember that. So this is the very important point that I have to make to you, right? Anything you see in an optional paper should be dealt with in terms of a specialist. Actually, if you read the UPSC notification, it says that any of the optionals will be of BSc honors level, right? So you have to be a specialist. Don't forget that. Okay. So how many of you have read the syllabus? Can you raise your hands? No, raise honestly, please. Otherwise, it's not fun for me also. We have to have an interaction. We are here to have an interaction. So, how many of you have read the anthropology syllabus and the GS syllabus? Or either one? Raise your hands, please. Raise your hands, please. Okay. Have you? Okay. Yeah, raise your hands then. Raise it confidently. Okay. So, if only these many of you have read the syllabus, it's extremely disappointing. So, you have committed your first blunder, right? You have made your first mistake, which you have to immediately go home and rectify. Read the syllabus. No other way about it. Okay. So, read the syllabus. And how many of you have read the old question papers of either anthro or GS? Anything? Raise your hands, please. Okay. See, you five guys are on the right track. The rest of you, if you do not read the question paper or the syllabus, why are you coming here? See, I'll be brutally honest because I have to be. And it is now that I can be brutally honest, not later. Later, after everything's done and you get your marks, there's only regret or happiness, right? So I am here not to, tell you about my experience or, tell you all those inspirational things. That's there online. Okay. I want to help actually improve you. So if you can understand my intention, that's what I want to do. You'll get all the motivational talks online. Okay. So I'm here to tell you what you can do on ground. because finally you have to write a paper. You have to fill in circles in prelims, right? You have to write answers in mains. So always when you're thinking, don't go too idealistic, maintain a level, right? Don't love the subject so much that you just, forget about writing. So finally you have to write, right? You have to write, you have to use your pen and write. So I'm here to tell you those on-ground realities, those tricks, which sometimes only the people who write the exam know, right? The books can tell you what is the subject better than me, maybe. But finally you're writing the subject for marks, right? I'm sorry to say that, but you are. I mean, I know it's sometimes not fun, but you are writing for marks and you have to always remember that. Okay? Right. So what were we talking about? Yeah, anthro. So anthro is evolution, okay, and variation. So how are you different from a person in, say, the United States? Okay? How are you different in your body? Right? Skin color, shape of eyes, that's race, physical anthropology. And how are you different in your culture? That is socio-cultural anthropology. That's it. That's all. Okay, if you get these two things, that anthropology is mainly physical and socio-cultural. So culture and body, everything else is a subdivision of that. Right? So just understand this. It's a very simple and plain. Paper 1 is also about that. Paper 2 is more of Indian focus. So Indian society, Indian culture, Indian men and women, Indian bodies, how the ancient cultures in India evolved, right? How are they in culturally and how they evolved and how they differed from place to place. So that's variation. So just two keywords I wanted to say: evolution and variation, right? So if you're following me, yeah, just remember this and write every answer in that perspective. So that is the crux of anthro, right? So now I want to tell you why anthropology, right? Why is it famous now? I don't know actually about the trends, but it is getting kind of famous now, right? So anthropology has certain advantages which you must use till they are there. We don't know when UPSC changes the pattern, but for the last at least 25-30 years it has had this one advantage, and most people do not use it, which is why we don't see a 50% clearance rate from anthro. What is the clearance rate from anthro is 10%. But why is this? Because most people actually do not realize the advantage. It has some benefit, it has some gain. That is why people take it, but they forget how to use it, right? So the main thing about anthro is the repeated questions. If you have seen, those of you who have seen the question papers, you will see that the questions are absolutely taken from the syllabus, nothing else. But why are they asking this again and again and again? Even I failed to understand. I thought, when I saw it, it's so easy, there's nothing to do. I'll just read a book, I'll prepare some notes on it, I'll go write, and obviously that's an advantage for me, right? But they are asking it because most people lack an anthropological perspective in things. You will just read a book and you will write it, and I'll tell you, most books are not very good. They'll give you some idea, but they won't give you an anthropological view, because most of the books are themselves not written by anthropologists, right? So that's a very important thing. In anthro, you have repeated questions again and again and again. In paper 1 last year, I think almost everything was repeated, almost, or all the questions I attempted were totally repeated, 100%. Paper 2, around almost 70% to 80%, which is very good, right? So please look at the question papers. And what does this mean if it is repeated? Like, can you guess? If it's repeated, you have to practice at home or class, right? You don't have to write anything special in the exam. If the question changes a little bit, you change your approach a little bit. But you can do 90% of your preparation where? Yeah, say home or class, right? And you have to. So this is what I want to talk to you about anthro, and this is what all of you should start doing now, right? So since all these questions are repeated, what should you do? What should be your prime aim while studying Anthro? So how many classes has it been for you? 2 months. So approximately how many number of classes? Huh? Okay. How many? 2 months of daily classes. Yeah. So 5 days a week. All right. Okay. Fine. Good. So now I think maybe you're getting some idea of Anthro. I don't know. Maybe some idea. But I'll tell you, I did not even get this idea even after prelims. I never even understood what I was writing. The essence of the subject was missing totally. But then, slowly as I started writing, the essence slowly started filtering in. Right? So without writing, you cannot understand this essence. It will just seem very boring. I'm actually telling you, it will seem boring. You won't know why you're using it, why you are, applying this, why am I studying this? Because it's a static topic, relatively, right? Anthro does not change a lot, say like political science or geography or PubAd. It changes, right? Man's anatomy does not change in 2 days, right? Changes over, say, microevolution over at least 100, 200, 5,000 of years, right? So it can at times seem a little boring, right? But how do you make it interesting, right? That's the important thing. You have to enjoy what you study, right? So I'm here to tell you that you have to write for that. And you have not got you cannot find a better guide than sir. Absolutely. Because I've attended several institutes, I've gone, I've seen, I've examined their notes, I've gone through that, I've gone through several books, many of which are a total waste of time. So, but sir's notes and sir's guidance is, I'm honestly telling you, unbeatable, right? So, sir's notes with your, of course, your understanding, your inputs, whatever you read and see, that is unbeatable, right? So now you've understood an essence of Anthro, right? You've understood something of what Anthro is, right? So now I'll take you through a paper-wise approach. So I'll start with paper 1, approximately what is there, then I'll go to paper 2, right? So just a brief introduction. I'm not going to go to any technical details, right? Nothing technical, just brief about what you should understand and what you should write. So it's mainly writing, right? So in paper 1, you have, I told you again, prehistoric. Prehistory is quite important in Anthro. So history is quite important in Anthro. So prehistoric archaeology. So that is one of the branches in anthropology. Archaeological anthropology, which is a subdivision of physical anthropology. So there are 2 main divisions, right? Tell me, what are the 2 divisions? Physical and socio-cultural. Yes, absolutely. And out of those 2 divisions, you have archaeological and linguistic. So these are the 4 main divisions of anthropology. Nothing more than this. Of course, there are numerous subdivisions in social and numerous subdivisions in physical, but these are the 4 main divisions on which your paper is based, right? So archaeological anthropology. Now you have tools, you have bones, you have fossils of men, right? So what does that mean, right? Why are you studying it, right? Everybody knows that you have to study archaeology, right? Am I clear? Yeah. So why are you studying it? This is what I never understood, Why am I studying this boring thing in these dry pages with those black and white font? It looks very boring, but why? I never understood that. So till only once I understood that could I study it with more interest, So I'm sure sir would have also told you, but let me tell you again. So Anthro, your final aim is to study society and culture, right? So society and culture. So when you study a man's bones, his teeth, what do you see in a man's teeth? What type of food he ate, right? What stage of evolution he was at, right? So through understanding what type of food he ate, you'll know the culture, right? Approximately what were their dress patterns, any wounds on his body. So you'll know that, yes, there was battle or something like that. So by understanding these bones, by understanding these things, you will know what is man's society and culture, and you will recreate that. Even if you understand, if you see the teeth, you will see that you know what type of plants he was eating. So through that you will know the climate, right? So these things you'll recreate the atmosphere of early man, basically, and that is more interesting than just studying a bone. So that is the approach of anthro. Recreate the society, recreate the culture, right? So that's the final aim. Okay. So in archaeology, okay, if we start off with an answer, so have you guys heard of Indus Valley civilization? Right? Everybody knows, like some idea, you've heard of it sometime in your life, right? So if you're writing an answer on Indus Valley civilization, in GS you will write something else. In anthro you have to write something else. Now let me just tell you how a GS answer differs from an anthro answer. And if you know this, and if you actually understand it, and you read sir's notes with this perspective, and do not compromise on anything given in those notes, you can compress it but not compromise, then you have understood something that I took many months or even 1 year to understand, right? What is the difference between GS and anthro? I really have to, I want to make this point very crystal clear in your heads, right? So in an anthro answer of, say, Indus Valley civilization, actually what we start with is we start with the climate, right? You don't start with the bones. You start your answer with saying the climate was like this. Why do you say that? So actually in Indus period, have you heard of Ice Age? Anybody? Yeah, Ice Age. There's a movie also, Ice Age. So actually this earth was in a total freeze for thousands of years, right? And what happened was, after some time, 10,000 years ago, this ice started melting, right? So when this ice started melting, what happened? You can grow crops, you'll have lakes, sea levels will rise, right? You'll have more forest, right? So what does that mean? You can grow, you can have agriculture. When you have agriculture, what do you have? Money, settlements, more surplus, more food, right? You all agree with me on that, right? So when you have this agriculture, you have something called civilization. Before you were just hunters and gatherers. You have a stone, you live in some rough shelters, you have just a few basic clothes, not even clothes, just coverings. But now you have enough money to have a specialist, right? You have who's a specialist? A tailor, a potter who makes pots. He's a specialist. How can you have the specialist? You cannot have the specialist in a hunter-gatherer, this thing when there is no food. You can only have it in agricultural civilization. So anything we talk about, any culture, Stone Age, Iron Age, Copper Age, climate. Without climate, you have nothing. Right? So I'm just giving you a broad idea. Okay? So everything arises from your climate. If the climate was not like this, we would not be this way. We would be different. Right? So just remember it's the climate. Right? Okay. Now, out of this climate, what do you get? You have different type of animals in the climate, right? Some small animals, certain big animals. So, in Ice Age, the animals were quite big, right? And when things started warming, the animals became small. Actually, there's a rule in anthropology where it says that big size helps protect against cold. So, you will learn it slowly, but I'm just telling you. So the animals became small. So the tools should become what? Big or small? Small, right? How do you hunt a rat? Not with a big stick, right? With a small arrow or a small lithic tool, actually it's called. There's a term for it. So you kill it. So that's how you hunt a small animal. So the tools became small. So you have, out of climate, you have tools, right? What are the tools? Okay. Now, where are the tools found? They're found in certain sites. And final aim of this, what did I tell you? Of archaeological anthropology, to make the society and culture. Yeah, that's it. So finally you write about society and culture. So every archaeological anthropology answer should be in terms of this: climate, tool, sites, society and culture. So that's the final thing. So you have to write in this way. This shows that you know your subject, right? This is showing that yes, I understand, I think like an anthropologist. If you just write Indus Valley civilization, yes, it was found here, it was found here, they lived like this approximately, and conclusion, you will get, I assure you, 1 out of 10, which is what I got. In my first test, I got 49 out of 250, right? So I knew that approximately to get a good rank, you need 300 plus or close to that. So actually I thought, I thought to myself, how am I ever going to do it? Right? And sir does not give marks, believe me. He'll evaluate it quite strictly, which is very good. So it seemed like a dream to me. How to come from 49 to like 150 in a paper. So each paper you need 150, approximately 150 plus 150 is 300, right? So you will get that only by understanding this perspective. And now I'll come to the next part. There's something called structure in anthropology. So I told you, right, your final aim should be making answers for every word in the syllabus, because Anthro repeats the same till now. Anthro repeats word by word. They'll take the word from the syllabus, they'll ask it. Right? So your final aim should be making quality notes, most of which is checked by sir. Right? That should be your aim. And that should be your only aim. You can, of course, you should understand it. Definitely. But while writing, you will understand it. So start writing. One answer a day. Even if you write one answer every 2 days, let me assure you, you will get more than 300. But if you do not, and if you get it checked, so always evaluation by experts. See, you will try to evaluate it yourself. Even I did. And I thought I was doing very, very well. But apparently I was not at all, not even close. So you have to get it evaluated by experts, either some seniors who have scored good marks, or best is sir.